Hello everyone and welcome to a new video, and today we're here to talk about 9 platform hidden gem games. Now some of the people may watch this video and say, oh, those are import games, but hey guys, it doesn't matter where a game is from. If it's a gem, if it didn't really sell well, if it's unheard of pretty much, we put it in this video. So once again, I am doing this video with the one, the only, the legendary, the creator of FX Yuki, Sarmao Retro Japan. Thanks for helping me with the video again, buddy, and on with the gems. First off, we're going to start off with Hermie Hopperhead. Now, I saw this game back in high school, totally forgot about it, forgot the name. Years later, John Riggs gave me a Game Fan magazine, went through the magazine, and in the import section, there was the game, and I remembered it immediately. So I want to give a shout out to John Riggs. Thanks a lot for that Game Fan magazine, buddy. So when you pop this game in, you're pretty much rewarded with a cartoon cutscene to kind of introduce you to the story. Now, as far as the story goes, I mean, it's pretty simplistic. You can pretty much see in the intro what's happening. Hermie is walking around, he's digging through some garbage, getting into a little bit of trouble probably. So this game pretty much kind of reminds me of Super Mario Brothers in a way. How Mario pretty much, went through a pipe, ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom, yada, 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 and all that good stuff. Hermie ends up finding an egg, and through a discovery with the egg, he ends up going to another world, but this is where it gets gross, but it's funny. He ends up going through a trash can, and that's how he goes to the world. So when you see a trash can in this game, they're pretty much kind of like, I would say, underground warp zones and everything. Just like in the way of Super Mario Brothers, but I haven't ran into any that'll like transfer you to another level. They're usually there for like secret areas that you go to. And here's the world map. It kind of reminds me of Mario 3. So as you progress through this, you'll go to different levels and you'll kind of like clear out areas on the map. One of my favorite things about the game is actually the music. The music is pretty catchy, upbeat, and it keeps you pumped up, makes you want to keep progressing. The only downside is, and I heard people say this before, is that the music is pretty much repetitive. Like it plays all the time, the same song. And I don't think that'll throw people off, but the game is really upbeat. So I can kind of understand why maybe they didn't have a big, massive soundtrack. Maybe budget cost or whatever. So they say, hey, we got this catchy tune. Let's just use it on the game, and hopefully people won't notice. You'll notice, but like I said, it's not a bad thing. The game is actually really, like I said, it's really upbeat, and the song is really catchy. And like I was saying earlier, you collect the eggs and you follow them to the end of the level. Actually, as I was playing through the game, I didn't realize that you seemed like you could level the eggs up somehow by giving them stars. I didn't know that until later on. But when you get to the end of the level, a giant egg will hatch, and that's when you kind of like can spread out the stars you collected throughout the level to the eggs that you have. Now, the levels so far that I've seen, they're not very long. I mean, I would say probably they might take a minute to get through, depending on if it's your first time or not. But they're really fun, and they change things up, so they don't ever really feel repetitive or anything like that. But I'm not trying to say this game is a copycat of Mario Brothers, but this would be pretty much the equivalent of Super Mario Brothers on the PlayStation as this game right here. So if you're a fan of Mario Brothers, I think you would definitely like this game. The only thing is that you don't, from what I've seen so far, you don't get any power-ups. The only thing you could really do is hop on your enemies, and that's how you pretty much defeat them. No power-ups or anything like that. You're pretty much trying to avoid enemies in this game. So Hermie Hopperhead is definitely a game I think is worth having in your collection. It doesn't go for a lot of money. You usually see copies of this game going for around $20, and that's totally a fair price. The game actually would have came out to Sony PlayStation in America, but for some reason, Sony of America just had this thing against 2D games. Like they thought the 2D games made their system look bad, so it was very hard to get them pushed to come out over here in America. But even so, guys, it's available and definitely worth having. I'm having a good time with it. I'm glad I popped this game in again, and I'm going to try to beat it pretty soon.
Alright, so the first game I'm going to talk about is Mirai Shounen Conan for the PC Engine Super CD-ROM. Mirai Shonen Conan literally translates to Future Boy Conan and was one of those animes that came out way back in the 1970s. And funny thing about this one is that it's got designs by Hayao Miyazaki. This is probably one of the first things that he worked on back in the day. Conan the PC Engine follows the story of the anime pretty closely, with the setting being set in a post-apocalyptic world. I've seen the entire anime and it's a lot of fun. You could actually watch the whole thing on YouTube if you want. Future Boy Conan on the PC Engine is a fairly straightforward action game. You got some really beautiful colors, some really nice parallax scrolling. I definitely think that this is a game that's especially fun if you're a fan of the anime. But if you're not a fan of the anime, it's still a fun game to play and fairly straightforward. Sure, there are times where Japanese would help so that you can understand what the story is about, but if you go and watch the anime and then play the game, you won't be lost at all. And many of the scenes are really nice, colorful recreations of what you saw in the anime. Another thing about this game that makes it so great is that it's cheap. You can usually find copies of this game for 20 bucks or less, and at that price I think it's a steal. I think I even picked up a copy of this for Reggie. All in all, Future Boy Conan is a lot of fun to play and definitely a lot of bang for your buck. Definitely pick it up if you've got a PC Engine and you want a cheap, good game to play.
Alright, so next up is Coro Post-Nin. Hopefully I said that right. I probably didn't. But either way, this is a cool game. You play as a Kane. She's a newspaper delivery girl. And the way you play the game is you don't really control her. You actually rotate the screen and help her move around to deliver papers and everything. So it's very simple. You have a timer, and pretty much it starts out pretty simple. You know, timer is simple and everything. But you have some obstacles that that can kind of get in your way and block you from delivering papers. After you deliver all the papers, you want to get back to the office, and that's when the level is done. The game is actually really addicting, and the animation looks great on the game. They did a good job on this. I believe this is what was a budget game for PlayStation. It came out in 2003 for the PlayStation system, and I haven't heard people really talk about this besides Kid Shuriken. So this is definitely a gem of a game to try out. Also, I want to note this game is very addicting. I only planned on playing for maybe 15-20 minutes at first. End up playing for 2 hours. So it's definitely one of those games that pulls you in. What really pulled me into this game though is this, I love sprite work. You know, you don't see enough of it these days anymore. It seems like it almost seems like it's a lost art, even though it's not. It just in today's age, it just seems like it's gone. Like you won't see too many developers make a game sprite based like this. One more thing before we close out. The game probably looks kind of confusing sometimes, like you might not know where to go, but you always have your map on the bottom right to let you know where you need to deliver papers at and everything, so you kind of clear the map and then kind of get to your home base after that's done, so you won't get lost, even though it does look confusing. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for this game. Definitely pick this one up if you're interested.
Alright, next we're going to give the Super Famicom some love with Ganbare Daiku no Gensan. Now, the name Ganbare Daiku no Gensan means something like good luck, Gen the Carpenter. Gen being the name of the main character. In America, we know this as Hammer and Harry, and we got that in the arcades, I believe, and possibly on the NES, I don't remember. But in Japan, this game has many games on the Famicom, the Game Boy, the Super Famicom, and then later on the PSP, which we actually got in America as well as Hammer and Hero. And much like many of the other Gensan games, Gen on the Super Famicom does not disappoint. It is a top-notch action game. So much fun, super colorful, great music. These really are the game aesthetics that I go gaga over. And smashing everything with your hammer in this game is just super satisfying. There are a few different stage types, like there's a stage where you're riding on this motorcycle and beating up on enemies, or a scooter, and then the rest of them are just like platforming action stages. You could also climb on walls and fences and stuff. The game is just super fun. I bought this loose in Japan for like 10 bucks. I couldn't believe it. But if you don't mind getting a loose copy of the game, and you're just looking to play it and get into a game that's super fun, definitely pick it up, because you can still pick up loose copies for a pretty good price.
All right, so here is the Adventures of Little Ralph. This game, I kid you not, is probably my favorite platform of all time. This game pretty much takes everything that's good about platform games and just adds all the great ideas and puts them into this game. It's so freaking cool. I mean, I can't say enough about this game. I actually did a review on this game, and the footage you're seeing here is actually from my review. The captured footage for it, I went to look for my memory card and I couldn't find the right memory card. I don't know where it's at, where I beat the game at. So I had to use the footage from my old review for this video, which looks pretty ancient right now, but still, I think I captured some good footage for you guys. Anyways, going to the game, you play as Ralph, who he's actually a young man that gets turned into a little kid. And he's trying to save his girlfriend. I think her name is Lucia. I don't know. It's a weird name to pronounce, but she gets kidnapped, and you end up trying to go save her. Now, in the beginning of the game, Ralph is a kid, and later in the game, you actually become an adult again, and you have to fight some bosses that way. When you get to those segments in the game, it pretty much plays like a Street Fighter game, like a 2-button Street Fighter game, and it's actually pretty awesome. Very unique idea that they threw in here. But when you start this game, you actually want to turn the game on to normal, because the game is on easy mode. And if you play the game on easy mode, the game kind of ends abruptly. So your fight, it just has like this premature ending pretty much. And you won't get to the boss fights where the game plays like a Street Fighter game, which is what you're seeing right now. I found these fights to be, I honestly thought they were pretty easy, but that might be because I'm pretty like familiar with fighting games. So I don't know if it'll be like that for everybody, but once you get the moves down, it's pretty easy. It's very universal in the way of like Street Fighter with the controls and everything. So half circles and uppercuts and all that good stuff. All that stuff will pull off some kind of move here for you guys to try out. The game does get a lot harder as you progress, and I'm not kidding, guys. I mean, it's gonna take somebody who is an expert. Well, I don't want to say an expert, but just is not afraid of failure. You know, you're gonna die a lot in this game, and to get killed in this game, you only have to get hit up to 2 times to die, and depending if you get the shield or not. So it almost like has 1-hit kills if you don't get the shield, or I think it's a shield or some kind of item. I can't remember what it was, but anyways, the game is, if you get killed in this game, it's pretty much your mistake. It's not because of gameplay. The game is well put together. A lot of fun, very entertaining. The music is on par. I mean, I'm telling you guys, I was sucked into this game, and I think it was a couple years ago when I beat it, and it just like, I was like just really enjoying myself. I really wanted to beat the game, but once you get close to the end, guys, it gets tough. It's like the last level is like a gauntlet, and all the traps and puzzles and bosses you fought are coming up again. So yeah, just be aware of that. All right, guys, so I know the game is pretty pricey for a physical copy, so what I would recommend is go the digital route for this one. It's a lot cheaper, and as far as I know, it was still on the PSN in Japan, where you could download it for 600 yen, I believe. But I'm not sure if the PSN has pulled a lot of their stuff like Xbox has off of their stores, so just be aware of that. By the way, Adventures of Little Ralph is a solid game. Definitely a must-have if you enjoy a platform game with a little mix of verse fighting in it. This is the best game in the world, damn it.
Next, we're going to talk about Cyborg 009 on the Mega CD. So the game Cyborg 009 on the Mega CD is one of those games that's based on like an old manga or anime. This, I think, is based on the 80s version of this show by the same name. I saw the show that was like late 90s, early 2000s, but all the characters are the same, the story is fairly the same, so it doesn't really matter. And even if you haven't seen the anime, you can really totally enjoy this game, because it's just an action game, straightforward. Now, for an action game, it's really good stuff. It's super fast-paced, easy to get into, very simple gameplay. I really enjoy the character's ability to like dash and double jump in the game, and it's mostly projectile firing. You don't actually have an attack other than your gun, and you just shoot stuff. The action is super fast-paced. I really like the second stage. There's like a highway stage where you're running like super fast, and then at the end of the stage you're fighting these two robots, and it's just really cool and fast-paced. I like it a lot. The music, on the other hand, isn't something that's super memorable, but it does really fit. It does sound like something that you would hear on those old anime shows, you know, or superhero anime stuff, but it isn't like super memorable stuff that you're going to go bump in your car, you know? Now, I will say this about the game, it's hard as balls. Like, I haven't beat this game yet. I got maybe like halfway through before I was just like, screw it, and gave up, right? But I mean, at some point I'll go ahead and go back and play it. And hopefully I can beat it at some point. But even so, I still really would recommend this game. I love it a lot. It's a lot of fun. It's straightforward 2D action. The only shitty part about this whole thing is that it only works with Japanese Mega Drive systems. So obviously, if you have an American Sega CD, you're not going to be able to play it. But there are some ways around it. Like, you could always patch the game and put it on a disc and play it on your US system. That way, if you're savvy, there's always emulation as well. Or there's other systems like that Polymega thing that's coming out soon that'll be able to play all regions, no problem. And I'm really excited for that. But that's pretty much all I have to say about Cyborg 009. If you see it out there in the wild, it isn't super expensive, so I would go ahead and pick it up if you have a way to play it.
Rapid Angel is a game I found out by chance. Actually, when I was in the hunt for looking for platform games I might not have played, I actually typed this on the internet, and it actually came up on the PSN that you could download it on the PSN. I looked at the gameplay, and I said, you know what, this is definitely a game I want to have a physical of. And at the time that I bought this game, it was really cheap, thankfully. Now, I haven't got that far in this game. I've gotten about to the 4th level in it, but up until that point, I really enjoyed this game. I was having a great time with it. I actually just died, and that's why I stopped playing it at the time. But what I played up to, I was really enjoying it. So you start off the game, you have 3 bombs, and you pick your character, of course. All of them have different like type of stats and everything. One's jump higher, power, and speed, and all that good stuff. Not only do you fight regular enemies in this game, but you also fight like a mini boss before you get to the next area, or just to finish the area off, you'll fight a regular boss. And as you can see here, there's a combo system, so you can do all kind of like cool moves and everything. The game seems to have a silly story to it, but of course, since I can't read Japanese yet, you know, I don't know what's really going on. But you don't really need to know what's going on. All you need to know is that the game is fun and it's entertaining. And by what you're seeing on the screen, you can kind of tell what's going on with the story and everything. I did notice the controls feel kind of floaty in a way, like there's maybe a slight lag. I was playing on original hardware, so I noticed that right away. But to be honest with you, it's not bad at all. It actually kind of fits this game. You know, the silliness in this game, the way the characters move around all goofy and everything. So I guess maybe they did that on purpose. I don't know. But either way, it doesn't stop the game from being fun. Definitely, I would say this is a worthy game to pick up if you're into platform games. The fighting is a bit different, as it's kind of like a beat 'em up in a way. I would call this maybe a platform beat 'em up type game. Maybe, yeah, that'd probably be a good way to go with this game. The game actually has 2 different endings, and they are decided on what you do on the first level. So if you do something cruel, you're gonna get I would say the premature ending or whatnot. Well, I won't say it's premature because you get it at the end of the game, but it kind of like when you get that ending, you kind of feel bad, like, oh my god, I didn't know that I was gonna do that. But I'll just say that. But it happens on the first level. If you attack something and it falls, you're pretty much gonna get the bad ending. But either way, guys, it's a fun game. Definitely, I think it's worth the purchase. Check out Rapid Angel.
Next up, a colorful and whimsical game on the Mega Drive, Magical Taruruto-kun. So, Magical Taruruto-kun on the Mega Drive was developed by Game Freak, the people who made the Pokemon games. The game itself is based on an anime and manga of the same name, and is an action platformer on the Mega Drive. That's pretty good, I might add. Taruruto-kun on the Mega Drive is a very nice action platformer game with lots of parallax, beautiful colors, pretty good music, and an overall feel-good type of game. Right off the bat, you're thrown into a pretty cool fight in the school where this helicopter is just shooting up the building, and I just thought it was super cool. Most of the boss fights are pretty cool, actually. I keep telling myself that I'm going to go back and watch the anime for this game, but I never do. Which, it doesn't really matter because you don't have to watch the anime to know what's going on. I mean, I guess it does help with the backstory, but it's totally not necessary since the game is pretty easy to just jump into and play. I'm a big fan of the look of this game, and honestly for the Mega Drive it's just really colorful eye candy, and it's really nice to look at. The parallax is super nice. There's like 78,000 layers of parallax. Well, maybe not that many, but there's a lot of layers of parallax and it looks really good. I bought this game for around $30 maybe, and it's going for about 35 bucks right now, maybe 40 bucks, and I think it's definitely worth the price of admission. So if you're looking for cutesy, colorful action platformer games on your Mega Drive that are a lot of fun, definitely check out Magical Taruruto-kun on the Mega Drive, because it's good.
Shoku, Soku, Grandoll. Let's look at the intro. Alright, I had to show you guys that intro. I just love old school anime. It's just something about it, guys. It just gets me. But anyways, guys, so the game plays like, I would say, between Mega Man and Metroid. And when I say Mega Man, actually, if you remember the Mega Man ZX series, how the biometals were kind of like how you could switch between them, that's how it is in this game as well. The anime that this game is based off of, I watched back when I was in high school. Really thought it was funny, really enjoyable. But there's slight differences between the anime and this game, being that you get different armors in this game, but in the anime, she only gets one armor. And she, being Hikaru, a young teenage girl that's trying to actually save her boyfriend, who gets kidnapped on the first level. Now, even though this game plays like a Castlevania Metroid type game, the controls are, to me, they were very floaty, and it was kind of like tough for me to get used to them. But I did, and I still enjoyed the game a lot. But just want to put that out there. You also have bomb attacks that you can use. I mainly would use them for a boss battle that you might not know how to do. Boss patterns are usually pretty easy to follow, but I was still having trouble because the boss's meters are pretty large, so you got to put in that work, and that's all right. The game actually rewards you. This is how they used to do it back in the day, with animated cutscenes at the end of a level to kind of like flesh out the story for you. So it's really nice to look at. But most of these, I think they pulled from the anime and just put them in the game. They might be slightly different, but that's okay. But where this game really shines at is the new armors you get as you go to the new levels. There's one armor that shoots out two lasers, and you can actually climb walls in this armor here. I'm having a lot of fun with this game, though it's not going to win any awards, but still, it's a fun game to play. And definitely, I would say, if you're a fan of like Metroidvania type games, or not even Metroidvania, but just platforms in general, definitely, I would say this one's a go. Also, on the side note, I just want to let everybody know that you guys should definitely check out the anime for this game. The OVA is a lot of fun. It's called Hyperspeed Grandoll. Probably one of the first animes I saw when I was a teenager, and the dialogue, the English dialogue, was just freaking hilarious. It'll just make you laugh. It's awesome. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you on Hyperspeed Grandoll, or Chokuso Grandoll. Fun game, definitely worth having, and I'll leave you with some gameplay. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed the video, had fun making it. Sorry it took me a while to get this video together. I was just having a lot of trouble with a couple other videos I was editing, so I kind of put this one on hold, but finally got it out. Hopefully you guys, I know some of these games are expensive, but you know, there's other ways to play them. Some of them are downloadable and all that good stuff. But anyways, I want to thank again Sarah Mar for helping me with this video. Appreciate you. And I'll leave a link in the description on where to link to his channel and everything, guys. So definitely check him out. Anyways, guys, Radical Reggie, and I will see you later.